uproar tonight over what animal advocates call the Ag-Gag bill. Lawmakers, again, trying to make it a crime to photograph or videotape farms in America. Why? Animal Advocates Act. What is the factory farming industry trying to hide about the way animals are treated on farms? We called the sponsor of this bill in Florida and did not hear back by deadline. If this new bill passes, it would reportedly criminalize filming or photographing of farms without written consent. Is this to stop the wave of undercover investigations into how billions of animals are treated on America's farms? I want you to look at the most recent undercover video from animal protection group Mercy for Animals. Now, this video, which you're about to see, and we have to warn you, some severe stuff on this, shows alleged animal abuse at a turkey farm operated by Butterball. This video obtained by a Mercy for Animals member who reportedly worked undercover for weeks. The group claims it uncovered severe abuse of turkeys. Butterball says they're doing an investigation. Quote, Butterball has a zero-tolerance policy for any mistreatment of our birds. Employees found in violation of Butterball's animal welfare policies will be subject to immediate termination. Straight out to Paul Shapiro, Senior Director of Farm Animal Protection for the Humane Society of the United States. Paul, what do you think is behind this proposed legislation to make it a crime to take a video or still photo of a farm, and this bill, latest bill being proposed in Florida?
Jane, these investigations are happening throughout the country at factory farms, documenting the fact that millions of animals who we raise and kill for food in our country each year are treated in ways that are simply horrific. And the meat industry's response to these undercover whistleblowing exposés has not been to try to prevent the abuse that the animals are enduring, but rather to try to prevent the American people simply from finding out about that abuse in the first place by trying to make it a crime simply to take a photo or a video of what happens to animals within the agribusiness industry. You have to ask yourself, just what is the meat industry trying to hide?
Well, here's a big issue on here. The thought of this is scary. I feel it's un-American to say, oh, you can't take a picture of a farm without written permission. But is it also unconstitutional? That's the question. Paul Shapiro.
There are certainly many people who are suggesting that that's a real problem. There may be real constitutional issues here, but we have to ask this broader societal question of what is it that the meat industry is trying to hide? And we know the answer. And by the way,
let me say this. We're looking at various undercover investigations from various organizations done throughout the country at various farms. So this is what you'd call generic video that shows undercover investigations. Continue on.
Sure, you have to ask yourself, what is the meat industry trying to hide? And we know the answer to that. This is an industry that routinely confines millions of animals inside of cages that are so cramped the animals can barely move an inch their entire lives. When it comes to animal cruelty in the meat industry, we're not just talking about a couple rotten apples in an industry. We're talking about standard industry practices that are so inhumane they are simply rotten.
And I want to say that as we look at this video, I invite anybody from the agriculture representatives, from the representatives who are proposing these bills, come on our show. We want to get your side. Is this sort of a cultural war right now between big ag and animal advocates?
Yes, absolutely. We've seen so far in states as varied as Iowa, Minnesota, New York, Florida, and Indiana attempts to make it a crime simply to photograph what happens to animals on these factory farms. You're seeing a real clash between those who want to protect animals from the cruelty that is so endemic throughout the meat industry and those who not only don't want to prevent this cruelty, but who are actively seeking to keep the public in the dark because they know that the more Americans learn about the routine ways in which farm animals are abused in America, the greater the outrage will be.
Americans are decent people. When they find out something is wrong, they take action to change it. I say put a spotlight. There should be nothing to hide.